In the heart of the vast sun-baked plains of the Wild West, a small settlement buzzed with anticipation. Dust swirled in the late afternoon sun, illuminated in gold as townsfolk gathered for a rare tribal ceremony, blending cultures that had long walked parallel paths. Whispers filled the air, stories of old connecting threads of heritage, honor, and sacrifice. At the center of it all stood Chief Takoda, a towering figure draped in traditional regalia, his dark eyes scanning the crowd. His expression was solemn, a mixture of pride and nostalgia as he prepared to honor those who had shown courage and loyalty to his tribe. But today held a special significance. It was not just any ceremony. Today, he would recognize a man who had been part of a sacred moment in his life decades earlier, a cowboy named Jacob. 20 years ago, in a time when fears ran deep and mistrust between settlers and Native Americans loomed large, young Jacob was a mere boy of 12, working on his family's ranch. His days were spent tending to cattle and riding across the rugged landscape, where the horizon seemed to stretch into eternity. It was during one of these long summer days that he stumbled upon a scene that would forever change his life. While exploring a hidden creek, Jacob had found a girl barely conscious and trapped among rocks, struggling for life in the rushing water. Panic surged within him, but he pushed it aside, his instincts guiding him. With every ounce of strength, he dragged her to safety, risking his own life in the process. The girl, who had faced a brutal encounter with a rival tribe, was none other than the chief's daughter, Amaya. In the days that followed, news of Jacob's bravery spread like wildfire. The chief, in gratitude and as a sign of peace, had made his way to Jacob's ranch, not in anger but with kind eyes and a heavy heart. They had shared a moment of understanding that bridged their worlds, a bond forged in the fires of compassion. But as time passed, Jacob eventually left the ranch behind, consumed by the demands of adulthood, and the memory of that day faded into the backdrop of his life. Now standing on the crest of the hill overlooking the gathering, Jacob was a man of the plains. Time had changed him. His once boyish features were replaced by rugged features etched by the sun and wind, and a heart burdened with dreams unfulfilled. He felt a pull, a connection to this ceremony. As he watched the tribe's vibrant dances, colorful banners fluttering, he recalled the gratitude shining in Chief Takoda's eyes as he had thanked him for saving Amaya. The beat of drums echoed, calling him back to reality. Steeling his resolve, Jacob made his way toward the assembly, the weight of old memories mingling with the dust beneath his boots. As he approached the central fire, the drumming ceased. All eyes turned toward him, a wave of recognition sweeping across the crowd. He froze for a moment, his heart racing, as the chief's gaze locked onto his. Chief Takoda stepped forward, a gentle but powerful presence, and raised his hand to silence the murmurs. Many years ago, a young boy saved my daughter, bringing hope amidst despair. He showed us that courage knows no culture, that kindness transcends our differences. The crowd stirred. Murmurs of disbelief mixed with admiration as they recognized the cowboy who had become a legend. Jacob felt the weight of the chief's words, tinged with both responsibility and honor. He remembered Amaya's laugh, her spirit fierce even as a child. She was a warrior in her own right. The stories of her strength had soared through the tribe like the wind. Today, we gather not just to remember the past, but to honor the ties that bind us, the chief continued, his voice steady and clear. Jacob, step forward. With every step, memories flooded Jacob's mind, the sounds of laughter from a forgotten summer, the weight of his youthful decision that had led to this moment. As he stood before the chief, a mixture of pride and humility washed over him. He was no longer just the boy who had acted instinctively. He stood as a symbol of a possibility that had long seemed out of reach. Chief Takoda reached for a beautifully carved necklace, the intricate designs sparkling in the sunlight. In recognition of your bravery and compassion, I bestow upon you this token of gratitude. Let it serve as a reminder that you are forever tied to our people, a bridge between our worlds. Jacob accepted the necklace, its weight resting heavily yet warmly against his chest. The significance of the moment wrapped around him like a blanket, igniting a desire to foster the connection that had begun with that fateful day by the creek. The crowd erupted in applause, signaling a new chapter, one that echoed in the hearts of both the settlers and the tribe. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Jacob felt renewed. The old fears and doubts slowly faded, replaced by a sense of belonging. Today was not merely about past sacrifices, it was about forging a future steeped in understanding and mutual respect. It was his turn to bridge the worlds they had constructed in fear, beginning with the bonds he would help to strengthen. In this heart of the Wild West, as the fires crackled and the music played, Jacob stood not just as a cowboy, but as a man woven into the fabric of a legacy that would carry on for generations. He smiled, knowing that this day would be echoed in tales shared around campfires, a story of unity in an era defined by division. Thus began Jacob's journey, an adventure interlaced with destiny, as he embraced the life-changing recognition that unfolded within the sacred dance of the drumbeats, binding him forever to the tribe he once saved, and a daughter who would be a warrior for peace. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the gathering, Jacob felt a sense of warmth envelop him, a feeling of being home among those who had once seemed so distant. The air buzzed with energy as the villagers celebrated, their laughter and joyous chants blending with the rhythmic beating of drums. Friends and families reunited, some sharing old stories and others creating new ones in this moment of unity. Jacob stepped back to take it all in, marveling at the colorful blankets spread around the central fire, laden with food that symbolized the bounty of the earth. He could see children dancing, their little feet pounding against the ground, mimicking the powerful beats of the drums, exuding joy and life. He noticed families exchanging traditional gifts, gestures of goodwill solidifying old bonds and forging new ones. Everywhere he looked, there were faces, some familiar from long ago, others new. He spotted Amaya among them, standing tall and proud, her presence commanding yet approachable. The years had transformed her into a fierce woman, her spirit evident in her stance. A warrior, she carried herself with pride, every bit a daughter of the chief. Yet Jacob saw the same spark in her eyes that had captivated him as a child. In that single glance, a myriad of unspoken emotions coursed between them, connecting them in a way that neither could fully articulate. As night arrived, the fires blazed high, illuminating the ceremonial ground with a flickering glow. The chief called for the stories to be told, and one by one the villagers shared the tales of their ancestors, of struggles and victories, of love that transcended struggles, and of bonds forged under the starry skies of the West. Jacob's heart swelled with each story, an overwhelming sense of connection to this land that resonated deep within him. Then it was his turn. The circle quieted as all eyes turned toward him. Jacob felt the weight of expectation, but also the warmth of encouragement. Clearing his throat, he began, "When I was just a boy, I didn't know the significance of what I did that day by the creek. I acted on instinct, driven by an understanding that transcends words, the understanding that we are all human and we all deserve to be saved, no matter the barriers between us." As he spoke, he caught glimpses of Amaya's face, her eyes unwavering, encouraging him to continue. "Seeing you, Amaya, and this community gathered here today, I am reminded of the duty we have to honor one another, to fight for our shared humanity. 20 years ago, I couldn't have imagined this moment, yet here we are, bound by a history I didn't fully comprehend then." His voice grew stronger as he continued, weaving the story of his life since that fateful day. He spoke of the struggles he faced on his ranch, the hard winters and dust-filled summers, and the longing he carried for connection, understanding that proved elusive. With every word, he rebuilt the bridge of connection that had once formed between their tribes, reminding them all of the power of compassion over fear, of love over enmity. When Jacob finished, the crowd erupted in applause, a wave of approval washing over him, buoying his spirit. Chief Takoda nodded firmly, the respect clear in his eyes. "You speak wise words, Jacob. We must remember our past, but it is the future we construct today that carries the promise of peace. Together, we can ensure that our bond grows stronger, that our children and their children may never know the divisions that once plagued our peoples." A ripple of agreement moved through the crowd, a collective understanding that the path forward hinged on their willingness to embrace change. The chief continued, "Tonight let us celebrate not only our shared stories but the new chapter we write together." The music brightened, drums pounding a lively rhythm, signaling a shift in the atmosphere. The weight of the ceremony transformed into a celebration of unity, the shared food, songs, and laughter intertwining them all. Villagers poured into the center, inviting Jacob to dance, sweeping him into the joyous rhythm that echoed the heartbeats of their ancestors. As Jacob danced, he felt a sense of belonging he had longed for throughout his life. Laughter erupted from those around him, lifting his spirit higher with every twirl. Amaya joined him, her movements fierce and graceful, and their laughter melded into a celebration of life, a night where divides faded and only connection remained. Underneath the stars they danced, a blend of cultures, past legacies, transforming into a future woven together. Jacob and Amaya exchanged glances full of meaning as they moved together, the connection palpable, even amidst the growing chaos of celebration. In that moment, Jacob understood that this new beginning was as much about him as it was about the tribe. Just as he had saved Amaya all those years ago, they were now saving each other, learning from their intertwined histories, and creating a story that promised new beginnings and forged hope. As the night wore on, tiredness began to creep in, yet the spirit of camaraderie remained strong. Eventually, the music mellowed and the dancing slowed, leaving a tranquil hush over the gathering. Jacob stood with the chief, looking over their joined community, feeling a profound sense of duty, that the promises made today would guide them through the struggles ahead. In the soft glow of the embers, Chief Takoda turned to Jacob. "Tomorrow we will begin to discuss our plans, how we can strengthen this bond further, but tonight let it be known that you are one of us now." Jacob felt a rush of emotion as he nodded, understanding the significance of those words. They were not merely ceremonial, they embodied the essence of what they fought for, their shared humanity, weaving their destinies into one. Indeed, together they would rise above their pasts, crafting a future that honored the very essence of who they were. And as he stood beneath the vast canopy of stars, the weight of the necklace around his neck felt like the embrace of a promise fulfilled, signifying that he was not alone anymore. His path ahead shone bright with the light of newfound friendship and unwavering unity, a reminder that their shared story would carry forward into the horizons yet to come. As dawn broke over the sprawling plains, the golden light spilled across the horizon, illuminating the remnants of the previous night's celebrations. Jacob awoke to the sounds of the village stirring, the chatter of families preparing for the day ahead, and the scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. Today was not just any day. It was the dawn of a new chapter. With a sense of purpose, Jacob dressed and stepped outside, the chill of the morning air invigorating him. The celebrations had deepened his sense of belonging, and he longed to contribute more than mere words. As he walked through the village, he noticed people gathering, sharing laughter and stories, a renewed sense of connection binding them together. He spotted Amaya near the central fire, her silhouette striking against the soft light. She was helping an elder prepare breakfast, her hands deftly arranging bowls filled with berries and steaming bread. As Jacob approached, Amaya looked up, a warm smile breaking across her face. "Good morning, Jacob," she called, her voice rich with familiarity. "I hope you're ready for a busy day." "Good morning. I wouldn't miss it for the world," Jacob replied, enthusiasm bubbling within him. Chief Takoda approached as well, moving with the gravitas expected of a leader, yet softened by warmth. "Today we will discuss our future, how we can bridge our communities and forge a path forward together. I would like you to be involved in this discussion, Jacob, as a voice of reason and understanding." Jacob felt honored, but also the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I'm honored, Chief. I want to help, however I can." After breakfast, the villagers congregated beneath the shade of a majestic oak tree, its branches extending like welcoming arms. Jacob took a seat near the front, feeling the anticipation in the air. The tribal elders gathered around Takoda, their eyes glinting with a wisdom that came from a lifetime spent navigating the complexities of their existence. As the chief began to speak, silence fell over the crowd. "Today, we stand united for the future we wish to create, a future shaped by our past but not bound by it. We must build bridges between our worlds, learn from one another, and ensure that the misunderstandings of generations past do not impede our path to peace." The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. An elder spoke next, his voice deep and resonant. We have lived with fear and suspicion, but love and shared experiences can heal those wounds. We must find a way to help each other thrive." Inspired by their words, Jacob stood, feeling the need to contribute. "If we could establish a market where both settlers and tribal members can sell their goods, it might foster trust between our communities. We can showcase the artistry and strength of the Apache people alongside the craftsmanship of settlers." Excited whispers erupted among the crowd, and the chief nodded thoughtfully. "A meaningful idea, Jacob. A place where we can share our cultures and celebrate our successes would indeed draw us closer together." As ideas flowed, discussions sparked about possible sites for the market, what goods could be exchanged, and how best to promote the unity it would symbolize. With every suggestion put forth, Jacob could see the enthusiasm grow around him, a tangible sign that change was possible. Amaya's voice rose above the assembly, capturing everyone's attention. "This market can be a symbol, a testament to our new beginning. We can gather stories, mingle traditions, and forge friendships where doubt once resided. Let us not just trade goods, but exchange understanding." Nods of agreement filled the circle. The elders looked at one another, each processing the potential of such an endeavor, a bridge to healing and collaboration. As the day unfolded, Jacob felt more energized than ever. The vision of a collaborative market began taking shape in his mind. It was not just about trade, but about transformation. Ideas flowed freely, and soon plans began to solidify. Together, they mapped out the tentative structure of this new venture, including roles for both tribal members and settlers, ensuring everyone had a place and a voice in its creation. When the sun reached its zenith, marking midday, the assembly naturally transitioned into a festive atmosphere. Children played nearby, their laughter spilling into the discussions. The villagers prepared a feast, filling the air with the delightful aroma of roasted meats and fresh vegetables. Jacob was again swept up in the warmth of the community, a feeling that filled the void he hadn't realized lingered within him for so long. Over the communal meal, stories continued to be shared, both old tales of bravery and new anecdotes that spoke of hope and connection among the people. Jacob found himself sitting next to Amaya, engaged in lively conversation. They spoke of their childhoods, their dreams, and the burdens of responsibility they both carried. "Sometimes I still feel that weight," he confessed, glancing toward the sky as if seeking guidance. "It can be overwhelming, the expectation to do right by others." Amaya studied him thoughtfully, her eyes sparkling with wisdom beyond her years. "We all have our burdens, but remember, it is not just about the weight we carry. It's about the connections we forge along the way. I see a strong path forward for all of us, and your bravery last night reignited that spirit in our people." As nightfall approached, the celebration took on a different tone. Stories began to turn into songs, and the community gathered around the fire once more. Jacob's heart swelled at the sight of faces lit by the flames, smiles shared amidst a harmony he recognized as kinship. Chief Takoda stood once again, his presence commanding silence and respect. "This day marks the beginning of a journey, one that will reshape our future. Let us not simply dream of a united tomorrow, but let us be the architects of that tomorrow." With those words, the feeling of unity surged once more as they sang songs of old, voices melding around the crackling fire. Jacob could feel the evening's warmth seeping into his very soul. It was a reassurance that together they would navigate the challenges ahead. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Jacob took a deep breath, embracing the life he had once thought lost. In this vibrant tapestry of community and resilience, he found home, belonging, and the hope he had yearned for, brighter than the stars that now danced across the endless sky. As dawn broke once again over the vast plains, Jacob awoke filled with energy and purpose. The plans for the market had ignited a fire within him, one that he had long forgotten. After breakfast, the villagers gathered once more under the great oak tree. Excitement buzzed in the air, and Jacob could see it reflected in every face around him. Today they would finalize the arrangements for the market, solidifying the bonds that had begun to form. As Jacob approached the center of the gathering, he felt as if he had stepped into a moment of destiny. Chief Takoda stood before the tribe, exuding authority and wisdom. "Today we put our dreams into action," he proclaimed, his voice clear and strong. "We will create a space where our communities can thrive together, a market where both settlers and Apache will meet, trade, and share their stories. The crowd erupted in applause, a swell of enthusiasm that ignited Jacob's spirit. With everyone eager to contribute, Jacob took a deep breath and stepped forward. "We'll need to determine the layout of the market, decide what goods each of us can offer, and create a system that invites collaboration instead of competition," he suggested. An elder raised a hand. "What if we dedicate certain days to specific goods? Days for textiles, for food, for crafts. This way, we highlight the best of both our cultures without overwhelming the people." Jacob nodded, feeling the excitement ripple through the group. "Great idea. Each community can showcase its talents. For instance, on Textile Day, we can feature beautiful Apache weavings and settler quilts. People will come together not just for commerce, but to learn about each other's heritage," Amaya chimed in, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We can also incorporate demonstrations, storytelling sessions, music and dance. This market should celebrate our cultures, not just exchange goods. Let's invite everyone to participate." As the ideas flowed like a river, Jacob felt more and more connected to this community. It was a whirlwind of creativity, laughter and determination, all pouring forth as they sketched out plans. By midday, they had divided tasks among themselves. Some would gather supplies, others would begin crafting decorations for the market, while a few would spread the word to surrounding areas about this forthcoming celebration of unity. As the sun reached its zenith, they feasted once more, each bite taken in the spirit of collaboration. Jacob savored the warmth of fresh bread and the rich flavor of roasted game, his heart swelling at the sight of families coming together, warriors exchanging stories with settlers, their barriers crumbling like dust in the wind. That evening, Jacob joined Amaya outside as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving streaks of orange and purple in its wake. Together, they walked to a rise overlooking the village. "You know," he began, his voice steady yet soft, "I never thought I'd find a place like this. It feels as though I belong, as if my heart has found its home." Amaya turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "You're not just a part of this community because of what you did for me. You've shown courage and kindness, but it's important to remember that this community will only thrive if we continue to build it together. Every bond counts, Jacob." The weight of her words resonated within him. "You're right. I feel as if my actions can now have a lasting impact, echoing beyond my own life. But I also realize it's more than just my efforts. It's about all of us moving forward as one." As the stars began to twinkle above, casting a silver glow over the land, Jacob felt a greater sense of purpose swell within him. This was not just a journey for himself. It was a path he would walk alongside incredible people, all striving for a brighter future. The days passed in a blur of activity as the market grew closer. Villagers worked tirelessly, finishing displays, weaving decorations, gathering goods, and preparing stories to share. Jacob found himself swept up in the energy around him. He taught settlers how to create Apache-inspired goods, merging their skills to foster a deeper appreciation for one another's talents. Finally, the day of the market arrived. The sun peeked over the horizon, illuminating the village in a warm, golden light. Laughter filled the air as families set up stalls filled with textiles, food, crafts, and art. The scent of roasted meats mingled with the fresh fragrance of herbs and flowers. Jacob and Amaya joined the villagers at the entrance of the market, adorned in their best attire. Jacob in rugged leather boots and a simple shirt, Amaya in a vibrant dress that flickered like sunlight. Together, they welcomed visitors from far and wide, signaling the dawn of a new era. As dusk fell, the market transformed into a vibrant festival. The community came alive with music, lively dances took over, storytellers captivated their audiences, and the strong bonds built over the past weeks blossomed into something spectacular. Jacob watched as settlers and tribal members shared meals, their laughter intertwining, weaving a beautiful tapestry of cultures. He felt a sense of gratitude wash over him, reminding him of the countless moments that had led to this, the kindness of one boy to another so many years ago, bringing them all to this point. As the fires crackled and shadows danced on the walls of the village, Jacob turned to Amaya, realizing just how far they had come. This isn't just a market anymore. It's a celebration of who we are. It's about recognizing our differences, and lifting each other up. Amaya nodded, her eyes glowing in the warmth of the flames. Yes, and this is just the beginning. Together we can leave a legacy for generations to come, one filled with understanding, respect, and love. Underneath the shimmering stars, as their voices mingled with the music and laughter of both Apache and settler, they realized that they were not just part of their own stories. They had intertwined their lives, creating a narrative that celebrated both their heritages, forever bound to the land they cherished. It was a story of reconciliation, of healing, and of the strength found not in division but in unity, a story that would echo through the ages, a testament to the power of compassion and community. As the festivities of the market began to wind down, the village was filled with an electric energy, palpable in the air. Jacob stood at the center, surveying the scene, feeling an immense pride in what they had created together. The rhythm of music intertwined with laughter ranged from the joyous screams of children to the deep rumbles of the storytelling sessions taking place. In the glowing embers of the night, as families began to pack up their stalls, Jacob found himself surrounded by both Apache community members and settlers who were eager to share their thoughts. "This has been a remarkable day," said one of the settlers, wiping sweat from his brow. "I've never seen so many people come together like this before." "Agreed," another added, his face beaming with delight. "It's a chance to build relationships rather than barriers." Jacob felt a sense of hope swelling within him. It was reassuring to hear their appreciation. It meant that the vision for unity they had worked so hard to achieve was tangible, even to those who had once held skeptical views. "We have the opportunity to continue this," Jacob proposed. "Let's keep the market alive, maybe host it every month. We can introduce new themes, spotlight different crafts each time." The villagers nodded eagerly, animated discussions emerging about the best days to hold the market and how to keep growing the community's efforts. Various ideas took root: cultural exchanges, festival days celebrating both Apache and settler heritages, and joint efforts to improve their lands through shared resources. They felt stronger together, and it gleamed in every word spoken. Amidst the conversation, Amaya approached, her eyes bright with excitement. "I overheard your ideas. It's brilliant. If we have months where we can feature specific crafts, we can even invite artists and craftspeople from other areas to share their talents." "Exactly," Jacob responded, feeling the growing anticipation. "Imagine the possibilities. We can create a network that not only connects us here, but also reaches out to others. Word of our community could spread far beyond these plains." Just then, Chief Takoda approached, a smile gracing his weathered face, his eyes twinkling with pride. "What an incredible day we have had, seeing both Apache and settlers working side by side, sharing stories and laughter. It reaffirms my belief that the future of our people can be bright." Jacob nodded, feeling honored to have the chief's support. "I think there's so much potential here, Chief. We can fortify our bonds with partnerships that extend beyond trade, creating an alliance of trust and friendship." The chief looked thoughtful for a moment before responding. "Indeed, it is imperative that the foundation of this market stands on mutual respect and understanding. If we are to ensure peace between our communities, we must uphold the values we've expressed today." The conversation shifted toward logistics, planning for the next gathering as excitement built. Ideas flowed, paving diverse paths that promised collaboration. An energy pulsed through the crowd, echoing the sentiments of unity. Jacob and Amaya worked together, jotting down every suggestion, coloring their visions for the future with optimism. As night deepened, people began to filter back to their homes, the flicker of lanterns illuminating their paths. Jacob felt a tug in his heart, knowing that this day marked the beginning of something significant. He glanced at Amaya, her silhouette framed by the warm glow of the fires. "Thank you for your unwavering support, Amaya," he said softly, as they stepped aside to a quieter corner of the village. "This wouldn't have been possible without your leadership and insight." She smiled back, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the firelight. "We are in this together. Your strength has brought this community together, Jacob, and I look forward to what comes next." In that still moment, an understanding blossomed between them, but it was more than friendship. It felt like an unspoken commitment to their shared cause and to each other. As they both gazed up at the stars sparkling overhead, the enormity of the night settled around them, wrapping them in a blanket of promise. Later that week, the news of the market spread rapidly, bringing visitors from distant settlements eager to join the festivities. The anticipation built as Jacob, Amaya, and Chief Takoda gathered once again to finalize the preparations. Each aspect of the next market must showcase our heritage, Jacob emphasized, bringing together our crafts, Apache weavings, settler woodworking, local herbs and foods. Let's make this a celebration of who we are. Chief Takoda nodded, weighing the potential impact. It is crucial that we showcase the strength of both our cultures. The more we can share and learn from each other, the stronger we will grow as a community. As they strategized, Jacob looked around, noticing the villagers interlacing their ideas within the fabric of future plans. It was exhilarating, each discussion propelled by the palpable excitement and enthusiasm in the air. With each passing day and each gathering, the community grew more resilient, stronger in their shared resolve to chart a better future. The market not only fostered trade, but bonded them on deep emotional and cultural levels. Yet, amidst the joy and togetherness, Jacob understood that challenges lay ahead. Old prejudices wouldn't vanish overnight. They needed to work towards deeper connections through constant dialogue. As the next market approached, preparations took on a vibrancy that echoed through the village, a sense of purpose with each person contributing their unique talents. This burgeoning unity came with the understanding that it was just the beginning, an essential foundation laid for more promising relationships. The vibrant pulse of hope filled Jacob's heart, reminding him that their actions today echoed in the stories that would be woven into the fabric of their communities for years to come. With each bustling market, they stitched together their destinies thread by thread, heartbeat by heartbeat, a testament to the remarkable journey awaiting them all. As the sun rose on the day of the next market, a palpable excitement filled the air. Jacob stepped outside, greeted by the chirping of birds and the rustling leaves that danced in the breeze. The village buzzed with energy. Families were already bustling about, preparing for what promised to be an unforgettable event. Lanterns were strung across the central area, brightening the surroundings in cheerful colors, while tables draped with rich fabrics displayed the community's finest goods. The assemblage of Apache and settler stalls promised a feast for the senses. Vibrant textiles mixed with handmade tools, traditional foods mingling with settlers' baked goods. Jacob made his way through the crowd, exchanging smiles and greetings. He felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, a realization that he was not just a visitor here. He was a part of something greater. The morning proceeded with joy and laughter as villagers set up their booths, ready to welcome guests. Jacob spotted Amaya amidst the flurry of activity, unrolling a stunning display of Apache silks and colorful beaded adornments. She moved gracefully, her passion evident as she set each piece just right, showcasing the intricate details that told stories of her culture. "Hey, you're going to have a tough time outshining this," Jacob teased, gesturing toward her display with a playful grin. Amaya chuckled, wiping her brow from the morning heat. "You should see what we're planning for the demonstration later. If you think my wares are impressive, wait until you see the skills on display." He could feel the anticipation building around them as the sun climbed higher, casting a warm glow over the village. By midday, visitors from other settlements began to arrive, drawn to the welcoming spirit of the market. Mothers and fathers arrived with their children, eager to explore, to trade, and to connect. Those who had once been strangers found themselves laughing over shared meals and stories. Jacob took it upon himself to welcome each newcomer and explain the purpose of the market, emphasizing how every stall represented the artistry and heritage of both cultures. The more he shared, the more connections flourished. He saw children laughing together, their eyes sparkling with curiosity, completely unburdened by the weight of preconceived notions. As the day unfolded, the square began to fill with energy. Music emanated from one end, where a group played traditional Apache songs, melding their tunes with harmonies from settlers. Jacob noticed how people began to dance, a spontaneous eruption of joy that broke down barriers entirely. The sound of laughter intermingled with melody filled the air, creating an atmosphere celebrating their shared humanity. Amaya joined in the dance, graceful and fierce, embodying the spirit of her people. Jacob couldn't help but feel drawn into her energy, his heart swelling with admiration. He followed her lead, attempting to keep up with the rhythms around him, their movements becoming a symbol of unity, a beautiful blend of different backgrounds rejoicing in the dance of life. With each passing hour, the market thrived. People exchanged not just goods, but also recipes, techniques, and traditions that nurtured connections. Vendors exchanged tips on crafting, and children learned to dance, drawing from the cultural wellsprings that surrounded them. As twilight descended, the market took on a magical glow. Lanterns flickered like stars against the darkening sky, creating an enchanting ambiance. Just before the sun set, Jacob and Amaya organized the storytelling portion of the evening, a cherished tradition that served as the bridge between their histories. Families gathered around the crackling fire, the heat washing over them, faces illuminated by flames. Jacob and Amaya took their positions in the center, ready to share tales that would inspire not only their community, but also their future. Tonight, we remember that every story holds power, Jacob began, his voice carrying across the crowd. They remind us of where we've been, and they light the way for where we are going. Let us share tales of courage, love, and unity. Cheers erupted, fueling his confidence as he spoke. Children settled by their parents, their eyes wide with anticipation for the stories that would soon unfold. Amaya leaned closer, her presence steadying him. Let's share our stories, Jacob. Let's make sure that both our cultures are honored. As they took turns recounting tales of bravery and kindness, from Apache warriors facing daunting challenges to settlers who sought refuge and found friendship, the flames danced around them, and a sense of focus enveloped the gathering. Laughter mingled with whispers of awe, proving that every narrative, whether of victories or trials, resonated deeply within their shared experience. The night wore on, with each story fostering a growing resolve to uphold the ideals of unity they had woven into their community fabric. At the night's end, a sense of completion illuminated their hearts. Jacob caught Amaya's gaze amidst the crowd. This was a perfect day, wasn't it? She smiled, nodding. It was more than perfect. It showed us that the more we share, the stronger our communities can grow. Today we planted seeds that will carry us forward, together. As families began to disperse, the crowd lingering to savor the final moments of the night, Jacob felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. The night sky stretched endlessly above, each star twinkling like a promise, just as they had promised each other to build a future strong enough to weather any storm. In the distance, the fires crackled, and Jacob realized it wasn't just about commerce, it was about connection, healing, and dreaming together as one. He knew that this voyage had only begun, with each step echoing through the fabric of their intertwined lives, cultivating a legacy of cooperation and love that would resonate for generations. And so, beneath that expansive sky, they stood together, determined not only to thrive, but to build a lasting community that would celebrate the richness of their shared humanity and the infinite potential that lay ahead. The future was bright, painted with hope, unity, and the unyielding spirit of resilience. As the days turned into weeks, the market blossomed into a staple of life in the village, its rhythm becoming a cherished tradition. Each gathering brought new vibrancy, with settlers and Apache families alike contributing their goods and sharing stories. Jacob felt invigorated, swept up in the camaraderie that come to define their community. One afternoon, as Jacob strolled through the square, he overheard a group of children giggling. Their laughter drew him in, a sweet reminder of the innocence that had once been shared by both cultures. Curiosity piqued, he leaned closer to catch snippets of their conversation. The children were helping Amaya craft a new banner that would hang over their market stall, stitched with intricate patterns and bright colors that represented both their heritages. "What if we add a sun?" one little girl proposed, her eyes wide with excitement. "And let's include the mountains too." Amaya nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, and we can weave in some flowers to show the beauty of our land." Jacob approached with a smile. "Looks like you have a masterpiece in the making. I can't wait to see it fly above our market." The children beamed, their faces alight with pride. "Do you want to help, mister?" one boy asked, gesturing to the colorful fabric strung out across the table. "Absolutely. Just tell me what to do," Jacob replied, pulling up a chair and joining the creative frenzy. As they worked together, their hands moving in rhythm, Jacob couldn't help but notice how this simple activity felt like a shared heartbeat. a moment where culture seamlessly intertwined before his eyes. Stories flowed from Amaya about what the symbols meant to her people, her voice as captivating as the tales themselves. The children listened, enraptured, hanging on her every word. With every stitch, Jacob felt the lines of connection deepen, roots growing through the soil they had nurtured together. This was more than just a banner. It was a representation of their united spirit, an emblem of the future they were crafting side by side. Later that day, as they hoisted the finished banner above their stall, Jacob stepped back and marveled at the colorful display flapping in the gentle breeze. It felt like a flag of hope, fluttering high above their market, a poignant reminder of how far they had come and the potential that lay ahead. As the sun settled low in the sky, the time came for storytelling once more. This evening, Jacob had planned to share a significant chapter from his own life, a narrative that held the weight of lessons learned. Gathering the villagers around the fire pit, the atmosphere was filled with warmth and anticipation. "I want to share a story about my family. It's a tale that has shaped me into the person I am today," Jacob began, glancing around at the familiar faces. "When I was young, living on the ranch, my father emphasized the importance of courage, not only in facing dangers but also in standing up for what is right. He described a time when a group of settlers had faced a harsh winter, struggling to survive as supplies dwindled. Many became desperate, blaming the Apache for their troubles. Tension brewed, and Jacob remembered the atmosphere thickening with fear and misunderstanding. His father had gathered the settlers, urging them not to yield to suspicion but to reach out instead. He told them, "We are not enemies. In our shared hardships, we must find each other, not divide." Jacob paused, letting the weight of his father's words settle like the fading embers of the fire. With that guidance, we organized a kind of truce, sharing our food with neighboring families, including the Apache. As he spoke, Jacob sensed the collective breath of the audience as they took in his story. He saw how they leaned closer, captivated by the unfolding lessons of unity and empathy. "And through our cooperation, we not only survived that winter, but began a friendship that lasted years," he continued. "My father taught me that true courage lies in understanding, courage to reach out across divides, to learn our stories, and to forge bonds where once there was only fear." As he finished, a hush settled over the group. "I believe we are on the same journey now," Jacob concluded, his gaze steady and heartfelt. "We've learned from our past, and together we can move forward, embracing every moment of our shared lives." A deep silence enveloped the crowd, followed by soft whispers of recognition as they reflected on the importance of his story. Amaya stood beside him, her eyes shining with pride and understanding. The chief's voice broke the tranquility, resonating with resolve. "What Jacob has shared reminds us that the most profound bridges are often built from the stones of compassion and courage. We have a wonderful opportunity here." As discussions ignited around the fire, thoughts flowed freely, weaving ideas into plans for future gatherings. They spoke of communal projects, building facilities for shared learning, crafting events that would further intertwine their traditions, teaching each generation the power of empathy. As the evening drew on, Jacob felt an all-encompassing sense of purpose strengthening within him. They were building not just a marketplace, they were nurturing a culture that honored both the Apache and settler traditions. The fire crackled and popped, embers soaring into the night as laughter and stories filled the air. In that moment, Jacob understood the significance of what they were creating together. They were rewriting their history, ensuring the stories of the past fueled future endeavors. Under the glittering stars, surrounded by friends and neighbors, Jacob realized that this chapter in their lives held immeasurable promise. The bonds formed here would last through time, resolute and unyielding. They were united, planting seeds that would yield a legacy blooming with hope, joy, and an eternal commitment to understanding. With the future ahead brimming with potential, their journey was only beginning, and they would face whatever lay ahead with open hearts and unwavering courage. In the days that followed, the village pulsed with a vibrant energy, its spirit buoyed by the success of the market and the stories shared around the fire. Jacob awoke each morning with renewed purpose, knowing that they were crafting not just a community, but a legacy filled with richness and understanding. As the next market approached, the villagers redoubled their efforts. Word had spread to nearby settlements, and newcomers were eager to participate in the next gathering. It was not simply a time for trade, it had evolved into an event brimming with cultural expression and resilience. One morning, as Jacob helped Amaya prepare their stall, he noticed her studying him with an intensity that made him pause. "What's on your mind?" he asked, tilting his head. "I've been thinking about the storytelling," she replied thoughtfully. "Your tale of unity really resonated with everyone. What if we encourage people to share their own stories this time? Stories from both Apache and settler perspectives could ignite new conversations." Jacob nodded, the idea resonating deeply. "That could be powerful. Stories have a unique way of dissolving misunderstandings. Let's invite people to share what their families have experienced and learned." Amaya's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Yes, we could create a storytelling circle where everyone is welcome to share. This could strengthen our bonds even more as we listen and learn from each other." As the day of the market arrived, the anticipation in the air felt electric. Jacob and Amaya set up their stall. Rich colors and intriguing artifacts filled the space, the banner they had made together, now proudly displayed above. The soft murmur of conversation swirled around them as villagers and visitors bustled about, eager to experience the day. The atmosphere was alive with children's laughter as they dashed between stalls, embraced by the openness of the day. Jacob took a moment to step back and take it all in. The vibrant array of stalls lined with artisan crafts, delicious foods wafting enticing aromas into the air, and the pleasant chatter that filled the square. He felt blessed to witness the healing taking place before his eyes. As the sun climbed high, people began to gather around the central fire pit, creating a natural circle. Jacob looked to Amaya, who nodded encouragingly. She stepped forward, her voice carrying with clarity as she called everyone's attention. "We gather today not just to trade goods, but to share our stories. Stories that define us, shape us, and weave our destinies together." A hush descended, the crowd falling silent. Eyes focused on Amaya as she continued. "As we share our experiences, let us remember that every voice matters. Every story carries a truth that enriches us, and together we can heal the wounds of the past." Jacob felt the weight of her words resonate within him, igniting his own passion to share. Stepping forward, he added, "I invite each of you to share your tale. It could be a story of struggle, of triumph, or a lesson learned. Together we build a tapestry of understanding that honors every experience." The first brave voice emerged. A young settler woman recounted her family's journey across treacherous landscapes, detailing the sacrifices her ancestors made to find freedom in these lands. Her vivid storytelling brought gasps from the crowd as they shared in her endurance, their hearts swelling with empathy. Next, a tribal elder stood, his presence commanding respect. He spoke of loss, recounting the heartache of a community torn apart by fear and misunderstanding. His words painted a picture of resilience, of a people who had learned to adapt and grow, and as he spoke, Jacob could see the emotions reflected in the faces of those listening. One by one, men and women, young and old, offered their stories, their voices weaving intricate patterns echoing through the firelit square. The air was thick with emotion, as grief, hope, courage and laughter trailed behind each narrative. Amaya and Jacob exchanged glances, a deep understanding passing between them as they witnessed the transformation unfolding. This was more than a market. It was a communal healing, cultivating empathy between two cultures that had once been at odds. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the gathering, Jacob felt an overwhelming sense of unity. This was the power of sharing stories. When it came time for him to speak, he took a deep breath, remembering his father's words about courage. "I want to share a story my father often told me," Jacob began, his heart steady as he spoke. He spoke of a time when our people came together in hardship, teaching me that in our darkest moments, we must look to one another for strength. When we face challenges, we must not turn away from one another, but toward each other to forge bonds that could withstand any storm. He shared tales of solidarity and cooperation that emerged during tough times, stories that echoed through the generations. The tears and laughter that filled the circle bore witness to the emotions that connected them. As he concluded, applause erupted, filling the air with appreciation and affirmation. Amaya took his hand, squeezing it softly as she stepped up to share a story of her own, recalling a tale of bravery that had been passed down in her family, expressing the sacred bond between her ancestors and the land they had always called home. As the last rays of sun faded and the stars twinkled overhead, Jacob felt a sense of completion. They had woven a rich narrative tapestry that honored both their histories, fostering understanding and empathy. The storytelling circle became a cherished tradition. As the markets continued, it served as a steadfast reminder of the power of voices united. Moments of pain turned to moments of healing, the beauty of shared experiences becoming the cornerstone of their community. In the weeks following, Jacob could feel the changes rippling through their lives, the stories they shared echoing in every interaction. Conversations blossomed, friendships deepened, and the village began to radiate compassion and camaraderie. With each new gathering, they discovered something profound. Every tale shared created a thread in their collective fabric, a testament to their resilience, a legacy filled with strength and recognition. United, they would continue to forge an extraordinary future, one heartbeat, one story at a time. As the vibrant market days continued to flourish, the village became a beacon of unity, drawing visitors from farther reaches of the territory. People traveled great distances to witness the warmth of collaboration and cultural exchange that had manifested in the heart of the plains. Jacob and Amaya stood at the forefront of this movement, their stalls adorned with rich textiles, food, and hope. With each successive market, the storytelling circle flourished. New voices emerged, young and old alike, sharing tales of their histories, triumphs, and tribulations. People began to embrace the idea that stories held the power to change the world. Each narrative added depth to the community, illuminating experiences that had once been hidden behind walls of misunderstanding. One sunny afternoon, Jacob gathered villagers to discuss expanding the market further. They had been brainstorming ideas for a festival to celebrate their ongoing commitment to unity. As the sun glimmered overhead, Jacob felt a surge of excitement fill the air. What if we organize a festival next month to honor our heritage and the stories we've shared? A day filled with music, food, art, and, of course, storytelling, he proposed. Amaya's eyes lit up. Yes, we can invite musicians, craftsmen, and storytellers from surrounding areas. Let's show everyone the beauty of our cultures. We can have workshops, demonstrations, and foods that reflect our shared past. Chief Dakota, leaning thoughtfully against a tree, nodded in agreement. This festival could symbolize the strength of our unity. Celebrating our diverse roots will not only deepen the bonds we've created, but also share our story with others. Eager discussions broke out among the villagers, brainstorming ideas for tents filled with artisan goods, local delicacies prepared by settlers and Apache alike, and demonstrations that showcased skills from weaving to cooking. The excitement became infectious, enthusiasm spreading through the ranks like wildfire, as they imagined the fully realized festival. As preparations began, Jacob felt an undercurrent of joy ripple through the community. The prospect of coming together to celebrate who they were, to acknowledge their journeys, excited him deeply. Each day grew brighter with creativity and purpose, fueled by the promise of a shared future. With Amaya by his side, he organized teams for different aspects of the festival, crafting decorations, inviting performers, and preparing workshops where elders would pass down traditional skills to eager youngsters. Their excitement was contagious, and everyone united under the thrill of a common goal. As the date neared, Jacob marveled at the growth of the festival. The village appeared transformed, vibrant banners flapping in the breeze, flowers lining paths and stalls emerging in neat rows. The air smelled of honeyed pastries, roasted meats, and fragrant herbs, each bringing people closer together. As Jacob worked alongside Amaya, he felt grateful for the bond they had forged through shared effort. They moved seamlessly, an unspoken understanding guiding their actions as they prepped for the big event. "You know," he said, taking a break to lean on a wooden beam, "this feels like more than just a festival. It's a real acknowledgement of our journey together." Amaya looked up. "Exactly. We've come so far, and this is our chance to show others that coexistence is not just a dream. It's our reality. We represent the power of friendship and the strength that can come from embracing differences." Finally, the day of the festival arrived. Jacob awoke early, filled with anticipation. As he looked out over the landscape, he could see villagers bustling about, laughter mixing with the sounds of preparation. The sun peeked through the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the fields, a promising start to an extraordinary day. When the time arrived to officially open the festival, Jacob and Amaya stood together at the entrance. The crowd gathered for the unveiling of the event. "Thank you all for being here today," Jacob began, the warmth from the crowd enveloping him. "Today we celebrate not just our goods, our traditions and our stories, but the spirit of community that unites us all." Amaya stepped forward, her voice steady and strong. "This festival is a testament to our resilience. It honors who we are and the stories that have shaped us, showing the world that our cultures can thrive together in harmony." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of support and enthusiasm that sent shivers down Jacob's spine. Together they cut the ceremonial ribbon, and the festival came alive around them. Music filled the air as dancers from both cultures began to perform. Apache song and settler melodies blended seamlessly into a joyous celebration. Later, the storytelling circle took center stage. Each willing participant took their place, sharing their tales with passion. Children were captivated, eyes wide with awe and inspiration as they listened to accounts of bravery, hardship, and love. The narrative bonds formed among the attendees strengthened the ties between settlers and tribe members, raising the festival's spirit to new heights. As twilight descended, lanterns lit up the area, glowing brightly against the deepening night sky. The warmth of the fire felt welcome as families gathered around, singing songs, playing games, and sharing food. Laughter echoed, creating a soundtrack of unity and belonging, a reminder to everyone that their efforts were worthwhile. In that moment, as Jacob watched the scene unfold, he felt overwhelmed with emotion. They had created something beautiful, a festival that spoke to the heart of who they were. The fruits of their labor ripened around them, a thriving community forged through understanding, shared stories, and unyielding camaraderie. As the evening deepened, Jacob and Amaya exchanged a glance, understanding that their journey wasn't finished. This was just the beginning, not an end point, but the first chapter in a long story of celebration, unity, and hope. Under the shimmering stars, they realized they weren't just participants. They were stewards of a legacy grounded in respect for one another. Together they would continue to navigate the path forward, their spirits intertwined, their community stronger than ever before. With hearts full of promise, they embraced the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead side by side. As the festival continued into the night, the atmosphere was electric. Laughter, music, and the warmth of companionship filled the air. Jacob felt a sense of pride swell within him as he watched families gathered around food stalls, children racing about with painted faces, and stories being exchanged in animated conversations. With the community thriving, Jacob and Amaya made their way to the central fire pit, where the storytelling circle had become the heart of the festivities. Elders shared traditional tales, weaving lessons of the past with humor and wisdom, while younger generations listened with rapt attention, captivated by the rich tapestry of their shared heritage. As night fell and the moon climbed high in the sky, Jacob took a moment to step away from the bustling crowd. He found a quiet spot where he could gaze out over the village, illuminated by the soft flickering of lanterns. Here, he heard the distant sounds of music and laughter, echoing like a heartbeat through the cozy landscape. It was then that Chief Takoda joined him, standing silently at his side. The chief looked out over the festival, his expression a mixture of contentment and deep thought. "Here it brings me great joy to see our people come together like this," he said, his voice carrying the weight of his years. "This spectrum of unity will color the future for generations." "I know," Jacob replied, glancing at the chief. "What we've built here isn't just about today. It's about the legacy we'll leave for our children. They can grow up knowing that cooperation and respect can change lives." Chief Takoda nodded, a knowing smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. "Oh, your words carry wisdom, Jacob. We are not just preserving stories. We are crafting a narrative of hope, a blueprint for how we can thrive together." Suddenly, the sound of drums began to rise, accompanied by enthusiastic voices calling everyone to join the dance. Jacob felt a surge of energy as people flocked to the central area, Eager to participate in the celebration that honored both their cultures, he turned to the chief. "Shall we?" With a nod of approval, they made their way back into the fold of the festivities. As they reached the lively crowd, the drums echoed like thunder, invigorating the dancers. Jacob joined in, his heart pounding in time with the rhythm, while Amaya twirled gracefully beside him, her spirit shining like a beacon. The dance was a blend of traditions, with Apache movements seamlessly mingling with the swaying of settlers. Jacob reveled in the joy of the moment, surrounded by friends and neighbors, their feet dancing across the dirt, voices harmonizing in celebration. It was a sight to behold, the embodiment of what they had worked so passionately to build. As the night deepened, performances took center stage. Local musicians played songs that blended the spirit of both cultures. Apache melodies danced with settler folk tunes, creating a beautiful harmony that resonated deep within the core of their shared existence. Jacob felt the power of music wrap around him, a reminder that they were creating something that transcended their differences. Later in the evening, as the festival's crescendo peaked, Jacob looked around at the sea of smiles, uplifted faces glowing in the light of the fire. Everywhere he looked, people shared stories, laughter, and food. He realized that he was witnessing the transformation of lives, the power of connection woven through the fabric of community. Amaya approached, her face flushed with excitement, wildflowers weaved in her hair. "This moment, this is what it's all about," she said, her voice barely above the music. "We've given our people a chance to step forward and claim their stories. This festival is a bridge, Jacob." As the evening wound down, the crowd began to quiet, the sounds of the festivities turning soft like a whisper. Families began to gather their belongings, but lingering conversations continued, accompanied by a sense of fulfillment and purpose. Jacob could see that the festival had become more than just a day of celebration. It was a catalyst for ongoing collaboration and friendship. Gathering by the final embers of the fire, Jacob glanced at Amaya, who was surrounded by children, recounting the tales they had shared throughout the day. Her face glowed as she animatedly brought each story to life, her passion infectious. He felt his heart swell with admiration, recognizing the radiant strength she offered to their community. The festival had marked a pivotal moment in their lives. It served as not just a gathering, but a testament to their journey, a vivid expression of the friendships they had fostered, and a beacon of hope illuminating their shared path forward. Jacob knew that this was just the beginning. As the stars glimmered above, casting a soft light on the village below, he reflected on the dreams they had woven together. They had turned history into opportunity, believed in connection, even when darkness threatened to obscure it. "Thank you for everything," Jacob said to Amaya as they stepped back, watching the last of the festival unfold. "Thank you for being part of this," she replied, her smile warm and knowing. "Together, we are grounded in something beautiful." In that moment, surrounded by love and laughter, he felt a wave of contentment wash over him. The village had become a testament to their commitment, courage, and shared stories. Together, they would forge ahead, embracing the future with open hearts, weaving a legacy that would inspire generations to come. And as the final flickers of the fire began to fade against the backdrop of a dazzling night sky, Jacob felt a profound sense of peace settle deep within him. This was their story, and it was filled with the promise of unity, hope, and everlasting connection. In this journey, they were bound not only by shared experiences, but by an unshakable belief in the beauty of what lay ahead.